another edition of Head to Head Sports. I'm your host, Brian Parker, along with my somewhat under the weather co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
I'm making it, man. I'm better than last week. Hopefully next week will be better than this week.
Well,
But
I'm glad to hear you on the mend, and you are COVID negative. Amen.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, I think anybody that has even watched one of the shows knows that you are a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. You do support your home team, the Carolina Panthers, but you've been a Steelers fan for a very, very long time. And the Steelers were in the playoffs this week with a handful of teams in the wild card. The top two seeds did not have to play, but the other the other 6 teams did. And, of course, one of the matchups was a matchup of the last game in the regular season, was it? Didn't they play them last? The Steelers played the Browns just a week before. So, and these are two teams that know each other very well. And wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't know if he's trying to become the next Antonio Brown, where he's got to keep pulling his foot out of his mouth. And started talking about the Steelers, just the same old Steelers. I mean, the Browns. They're just the Browns. Well, I saw a Browns team put 28 points up in the first quarter. And then it just got ugly. Man, I'll just let you go. Because at halftime, it was 35-10, and they scored another 13, and the Steelers did try to put up another 27 points, but playing from behind like that is definitely not the situation you want to be in. And lastly, before I turn it over to you, Ben Roethlisberger threw 68 times, 47 completions, 500 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. But the number that will kill you in this league, 4 interceptions.
I'll tell you another number that'll kill you in this league. 28-0 in the first quarter.
That'll do it.
That'll kill most teams. Let me just ask you a question before I even get into these Pittsburgh Steelers of mine. Mm-hmm. Did you watch the game?
I watched a little bit. I couldn't watch it all.
Okay, you didn't need to. But you watched the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Steelers appear ready?
No.
That was the most disgraceful display of football for a playoff team that was supposed to be playing at home and defending home turf. And you fall behind 28-0 in the first quarter. That is some pee-wee football league, little league flag football type crap, man. That stops at the top for me. I see a lot of people when I get into this, they really, really defending Mike Tomlin. I understand Mike Tomlin is a great coach. Good coach, great coach, wherever you want to put him at, he is that. But the other thing that also plagues Mike Tomlin as a coach is the fact that he's always getting caught by these inferior teams, always getting caught by teams, especially in the playoffs, and not having his team prepared to play. Mm-hmm. When I saw a ball go sailing over Big Ben's head in the first quarter from a center that's been doing this for, he's got a 10-plus career, 10-plus year career at that position. Some of the batted balls that continue to be, some of the routes that they continue to run, it just did not appear to me as a team that was ready to play football. Even on the defensive side of the game, Pittsburgh leads the NFL in sacks year after year after year. Did not touch Baker Mayfield that game. No sacks. I watched as much as I could bear. I didn't even see pressures on Baker Mayfield. Nice, clean pocket. Therefore, when you have that, Baker Mayfield is going to turn into a freaking Rodgers. Might as well. He could turn into a breeze. I'm trying to say anybody in a clean pocket can have a game like Baker Mayfield had, which was 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Pittsburgh just did not appear up for that game, did not appear ready for that game. It was the sloppiest I've ever seen them. And it was just a flashback to the 2017 AFC divisional game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, a game that the Steelers were heavily favored again, sitting at home. They looked past Jacksonville and gave up 45 points to them. So, to me, that is a red flag for coaching. I've kind of come just apoplectic about the Steelers right at this point, especially watching that game. Don't even know what to say about it. I just sat and watched the first quarter. After watching the first quarter, I've seen all the football I needed to see. So, Steelers got a lot of problems. But for me, they start at the very top. Mike Tomlin, once again, sitting in a situation where he does not have his team ready to play football. To me, Mike Tomlin is Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, great coaches as well with the Green Bay Packers, had a bunch of talented teams, could never really get them to the top of the mountain. Got them there once, but with the talent that Pittsburgh has had over the past decade, when I start throwing out names as far as Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, God, on and on and on and on, James Harrison, just all the Steeler greats over the past 10 years. To me, they should have something more to show for their efforts over the past 10 years than one AFC championship game. Doesn't make sense to me.
Do you know which team in the league had more rushing yards than the Steelers did this year?
I'm sorry, yeah, how many teams?
Mm-hmm.
My guess would be at least 30.
All 31.
That's what I thought. I was about to say all 31, but my guess was at least all 30.
They literally ran for 1,351 yards.
Yeah.
For the whole year.
And against the Browns in that playoff game, I understand at some point you have to abandon the run. But 68 passes.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, once you're that far behind, your running game is ineffective, but because you didn't have it early.
Yeah.
You couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
You're right. Baker Mayfield looked really well. I mean, he did 21 of 34, 263 yards. Regular game stat. Nothing, he didn't have to play out of himself. That was the thing. But he, like you said, he had clean pockets. He threw 3 touchdowns, no picks. His running game was decent. They only had 127 yards, but they at least had a presence of a game. The Steelers, on the other hand, had about 52 yards rushing. You're not going to get it done when you can't run the ball. You're not eating up the clock. For a team to score 28 points on you in the first quarter, that means your time of possession was bad. You ain't had the ball long enough. I didn't know if anybody could score 28 points on purpose in one quarter.
I never saw it. I never saw it.
Because there's only 15 minutes and a half. You think between the time the clock just runs and, you setting up for the next play and changing out substitutions and kickoffs and all that kind of – you don't have time to score 28 points. They did. You're right. They didn't look like they were ready. They looked disinterested. And you're right. I don't know why Mike Tomlin is going to get a pass. He can't get a pass. Dude, your job is to make sure your team is ready. And he'll get in a press conference. I didn't hear it, but I already know how Tomlin is.
I already know what he's going to say.
He'll say, y'all got to be accountable. That starts with me. I'm the head coach.
Yep.
My job.
Yep.
And he says all those right things. Well, you know what, Mike? If you acknowledge that you was responsible, that might be it for you, because you can't just keep getting there. You have to get over the hump. That didn't save Jim Caldwell. They got rid of his ass. He had some good seasons in Detroit, and that wasn't enough. They said we've seen, which I ain't understand that, because then they let what's his name up there for a couple of years, Patricia, and he ain't do nothing. And they finally said, well, wait a minute, we just got rid of the black guy for doing a lot better than this crap, so we gotta let him go. But Tomlin, and I get it. You know, Tomlin has been around. He has won you some Super Bowls, but this is a what have you done for me lately league.
He won a Super Bowl one.
Yes, Dougie P is gone out of Philly, and he won them a Super Bowl. But this is the city of non-brotherly love, so that wasn't a surprise. That you have to produce, and it can't just be that you got us to certain teams. If they just simply get to the playoffs, their fans can accept that for a minute. Pittsburgh ain't one of them cities.
No, it's not. And the reason we are not one of those cities,
especially when you started out 11-0.
Exactly. The reason we're not one of those cities is if you want to pull up or Google at your convenience the list of Pro Bowl players since 2011 that the Steelers has had is absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And not to be able to at least make it to another Super Bowl within the past 10 years, to only get to one AFC championship within the last 10 years, with that amount of roster that they produce, it's unacceptable. It is unacceptable.
I'm still on this 11-0. How do you win 11 games? Now, there were some games in there where they could have lost it. They could have slipped up, but they didn't. How do you do that on purpose? How do you win 11 games in a row to start the season? And then what did they go, 2-3 the last 5 games? They just stumbled into the playoffs. They didn't come in with a roar. They didn't even end on a good note. How do you do that on purpose?
It all started with the Washington football team. Mm-hmm. After the Washington football team showed the rest of the league, this is how you play this little short passing game that they're trying to protect Ben in. Get your hands up, bat the balls down. Don't bite on any pump fakes. They're not going to be any, because this ball is going to be coming out of Ben's hand within 2 seconds. We're just going to jam everything up, not bite on the play fakes or the run fakes, because they can't run the ball anyway. After the Washington football team showed the league how to do that, the Steelers started to struggle. Mm-hmm. And they never made any adjustment. They never made an adjustment. So,
yeah. And I'm sorry, now, I said they went 2-3 after their first 11. They actually went 1-4.
Yeah, 1-4.
Wow.
Yeah. And they had to come back from 21-7 down in order to win that one. So they have a lot of problems. Starting with the offensive coordinator who they let go today, Fitchner. I saw that happening. That needed to happen after that horrific game plan and making absolutely no adjustments since the Washington game. Yeah, he needed to go. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of other coaches that they gave the boot to, but the Steelers have a lot of problems. They're cap strong, not going to be able to bring in anybody. Mm-hmm. They got a big decision to make about Ben Roethlisberger's final year. They have some aging vets. Their center, Pouncey, might retire. So they got problems across the board. More problems than draft picks.
Yeah, their first draft pick is going to be number 24. Is it best player available? Is it a certain position at that point? What do they do at 24?
At 24, I think they're going to go with the Alabama running back. I forget his name.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah. But let me ask you this. So then what do they do with Connor and Snell and those guys?
Connor will not be re-signed. I doubt that he will be re-signed. Snell is still within his rookie contract deal, so he'll be back. But James Conner, yes, he will be headed to free agency. Najee Harris is the running back I was thinking about from Alabama that will probably
Yes.
be drafted by the Steelers if they choose to go that direction. Now, if they let Ben go and not pick up this final year of his deal, could be looking at a situation where they take Alabama's Mac Jones. So we'll just have to see.
Any idea how much that contract for Roethlisberger is worth?
I think the final, it's either 21 or 41. I forget which one. But it's not that much money against the cap, but letting him go so it could spread that money around, to me, is the best bet to go.
I see it. He signed a 2-year, $68 million contract. Had a 37 million signing bonus, 37 million guaranteed. Average salary $34 million. So if you pick up the 5th year and you don't give him an extension, he's basically playing on his he's playing out his contract. He becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2022.
Yeah.
For that season. Well, who do you bring in that you're not going to pay more money to?
So I guess there's two trains of thought with the Steelers in this regard. I've heard both.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and bring Ben back. I think there's a 40% chance that happens. Go ahead and bring him back. Let him ride out the final year of his deal. Let him get ready, the next guy that's going to take over the reins in 2022. I guess that would be, at this point, Mason Rudolph. Unless
God.
Yeah, unless they reach out to another quarterback and make a deal. But I have no idea who that would be because we don't have the money for that. The other train of thought would be to go ahead and let Ben go. Use that money on potentially signing a veteran at that position or drafting a rookie quarterback. And there's going to be some still on the board when the Steelers choose at 24, definitely. So your quarterback from Florida might still be there. I'm pretty sure he will be there. The quarterback from Alabama will also be there. So those are the two names that the Steelers could go, or the direction they could go in.
Why wouldn't they? Why not go for somebody like Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia, he's still in his rookie deal.
Still trading. They could be looking to get rid of him since they look like they're going all in with Wentz.
With who?
With Carson Wentz.
You think they're going in with Wentz? Wentz might not be back next year.
Well, if Wentz isn't back, then why don't they trade him to the Steelers?
I've heard that. Again, that's going to take Philadelphia willing to do that, number one. It makes sense to me.
Same state, but they're in different conferences.
That's right. It would keep them within pretty much the same realms of the state of Pennsylvania. Wentz, to me, is a guy that's worth taking a look at. So we don't know how it's going to play out. We'll just have to see.
Yeah.
Wentz coming to Pittsburgh would make all the sense to me, though.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it would definitely.
I was just saying, if they're gonna, to me, when you fired Doug Peterson, it was almost like you saying we need to take a look at Wentz, because here's the problem: Wentz is owed so much money that you'd have to find a team that wants to take on that salary, or you're going to have to eat a lot of it. And basically, he's going to be getting paid from two teams. Nobody wants to do that. So the lesser value is we ride out with Carson Wentz for good or bad. We try to put some stuff around him to disguise his deficiencies. Jalen is showing that he is capable of starting but we just don't have an opportunity for him right now. Or I don't know how it would work, but I know Deshaun Watson trying to get out of Houston.
Now I hear that too. That's another name that I heard for Pittsburgh. Matter of fact, the report that I saw had Pittsburgh at the top of the food chain in getting Deshaun Watson. Now I don't know how that money would work out.
Because he just signed a hell of a deal in the
Yeah,
last
and
summer.
we are hella broke. So I don't know how that would work out, but according to whoever wrote the article,
yeah,
it's feasible. So hell, I would not argue it at all if Watson coming to Pittsburgh, but I mean, to me, it's a pipe dream.
Yeah, I kind of like I was on the fence about Watson. I saw what he did at Clemson. I watched him at Clemson. As much as me being a Tar Heel fan, I ain't never root for Clemson like that. But I did root for Watson because I thought he was a good quarterback. I just didn't know if he had the temperament to stay in the pocket because he knew that he could make plays with his feet. I'm always a little bit harder on some of the quarterbacks that I see that take off too fast, like Kyler Murray or Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson. Not because they're black. I named all the ones. but it's because sometimes I think if you move in the pocket, if you step up, you can buy yourself time. But they happen to buy themselves time. Russell Wilson does, except for last week. They buy themselves time when they do roll out and run and stuff like that, and they still have a good control of the ball when they're throwing it on the run. So I had to kind of back up off that position. I didn't know how that would work in a place like Pittsburgh, but the more and more I thought about it, I could actually see him bringing his type of play to Pittsburgh. It would definitely be something different than what they've had for over a decade watching Big Ben. Now, the thing about Big Ben, though, is that you're going to hurt yourself trying to bring him down. You ain't going to hurt yourself trying to bring Deshaun down, except for the fact that he might fake you out bad and you look stupid. But it would be two totally different styles of play.
Yeah, Watson, he ain't one of those, though, that's going to just take off in the pocket too soon. He's thrown all of the throws. He can make them all. Lost his most important weapon at wide receiver in the offseason because they stupidly gave him away. But it didn't stop Watson from putting up numbers this year.
No, because Will Fuller, until he got, suspended with the PED thing, was balling out to Fuller. Then he started finding Brandon Cooks. Then he started finding Coochie. So he was throwing some bombs. The stuff he was throwing, every time he hit Brandon Cooks, it was 60-something yards, Yeah. Cooks is a burner anyway, but he was finding them for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So he was even finding his running back, Johnson, a lot of times for some long passes too. So very versatile guy. He's done a whole lot more than I thought he would. And I'm glad they gave him his money.
Yeah. I think he's holding all of the bargaining chips in that city, man.
He is.
I think he will find his way out of Houston too. Kind of similar to what another Houston basketball player just pulled in order to get his way up out of there. But
I know this is an NFL show, but I just got to say, Houston, you won. Because they gave up so many draft picks, they ain't gonna have a first-round pick until I have grandchildren. That was just
that's for real too. That's for real too.
That was dumb, but okay. As I brought up on my last show, when you give up that much for a ball-dependent player, like a center is a ball-dependent player normally, unless it's Unibrow Davis, who can bring the ball up the court. Most of your centers have to be able to get in a position and then have somebody feed them the ball. That's a ball-dominant position. You just gave all this money to a guy that has to really be able to have the ball in his hand to make things happen. He ain't like Dale Curry, who can run the baseline and come from one side to the other, catch and shoot. That ain't his game. He ain't going to do that. He's not going to sit there and create shots for himself. I mean, he's going to create shots for himself by dribbling 22 seconds out of the 24-second shot clock. That's what he's going to do.
And that's going to piss off his two other teammates.
You just set it
So,
up. Everybody's smiling right now. Smile, say cheese. Okay. There's only one ball on the court at a time. Keep saying cheese.
and
I want to
Kyrie
see.
Irving loves to have the ball in his hands too. So
You know,
this is going to be a myth.
when Wade, Bosh, and Braun joined together, they complemented each other because Bosh wasn't ball dominant. Even Wade wasn't ball dominant. So there was no friction that way. Kyrie liked to dribble between his legs too much. That's Uncle Drew right there, y'all. KD liked to sit there and take people off the dribble and then pull up with that long shot. And then you got Harden over there walking every time with that step back. It's a walk. It's a walk. It's a walk. I'm sorry.
It is a walk.
It is a walk. I'm sick of this. Now you got young kids doing that mess. And I'm like, you are traveling. Stop it. It's like when AI first came out and he kept carrying the ball every time. I'm like, you can't do that.
God.
You cannot carry the ball. And they stopped calling it because he did it so much. They were like, well, we blow the whistle every 2 seconds. But you're carrying. You can't just carry it. Anyway, I know it's football, but my God. Oh, God. Now I'm going to have to start doing basketball again. But anyway. How about your Panthers? I hear that they are offering a position for general manager, for the general manager of the Seattle Seahawks, I believe. Mr. Scott Fitterer is his name. So they are offering him he's the VP for the Seahawks, and they're offering him the GM job, but Matt Rule would still have the final say on the 53-man roster.
I think that's an excellent move for the Panthers. The Seahawks are a team that's known to find great talent, or to find not great talent, but good enough talent and get the greatness out of them. You could also go through their history at that draft position. You'll see a bunch of guys that you really never heard of who were not big-time stars in college, and then they get to the NFL and they make that jump. Matt Rule is that particular type of coach that is known for what he has done at Rutgers, for pretty much that same thing, to take average talent and make it better. This GM should be on the same page with that. Hopefully, I'm sorry. Hopefully Brady will stay, because he's also in that same mindset. And that will be one hell of a kind of tandem or a team as far as a talent search, recruitment search, and making folks better for the Carolina Panthers and keeping them in home. So I think it's a great hire, man. I really do. I just, again, hope that Brady stays put for another year.
Yeah,
so
me too.
See how it really plays out.
Yeah, so again, I know we talked about it last week. They currently have the 8th pick. I'm wondering if they're going to consider trading up, or is that an overreach if they do that?
I doubt it. This kind of comes up with the Panthers every year. Should we trade up? Should we trade back? And it's been my just looking at their overall draft history, they never do. They stay put with where they're at, and they take what falls to them. In this particular instance, to me, it's either going to be Trey Lance at that position or Zach Wilson. And I'd be happy with either one of them. I know I said last week that Trey Lance kind of seemed like a reach to me. But watching some tape and film on him, not so sure anymore. He's got the size, he's got the athleticism, he's got the arm, and he's got the speed to get out of the pocket if needed. So,
yeah, 6'4", 227. He's a taller quarterback. I know Teddy's 6'2". So he's a little bit taller, got a little bit more weight on him. I didn't see him honestly, so I have no idea what he did. He was at North Dakota State. I see.
Wasn't a whole lot to see, to be honest. He only played one game at North Dakota State this year because of the COVID restrictions. So we're looking at basically a quarterback who has played one game within a year time
Ooh,
by
wait.
the time we draft them. Yeah, exactly. So that is the huge concern. But the flip side of that is we do have Matt Rule and hopefully Brady, and their resume has been known to take average players and help them make that next step in their development. This would be a perfect project for them to do that.
Would
But
you
once
would you do
again,
that with the eighth pick though?
they're going to have to do something. It's not every year that you're going to find yourself sitting in the top 10 as far as drafting, unless you're the Cleveland Browns. Carolina, Carolina really hadn't been known to do that.
That's true.
So here we are sitting here now. That position has quarterback written all over it. Going to have to take quarterback. Going to have to take a
Yeah.
quarterback.
Now, if they do trade up though to get a quarterback more like a Justin Fields, then that's pretty much saying we've seen enough of Teddy Bridgewater.
I think they're saying that regardless.
Yeah.
I think they're saying that regardless. If you listen to Matt Rule, his latest press conference, he pretty much came out and said that the quarterback position is one that they need to not just evaluate, but to elevate.
Right.
So with that being said, that's pretty much saying Teddy Bridgewater is not in their future plans. Now, he might be a mentor for the next season or two, but he's definitely going to be a mentor to somebody who's going to be most likely drafted this year.
What do you think they're going to end up having to do with DJ Moore? I believe he's into that fourth year. Well, he signed a 4-year contract. I think, yeah, we were talking about DJ Moore. I believe he's going into his last year. I know he signed in 2018. So
Yeah.
he's completed 3 years. He did a 4-year contract. So it's my understanding that he's going into his last year. This would normally be the year, because in 2020, Moore earned the base salary of $1,495,000, cap value of $6 million. So he's going into his last year. This is the offseason where he's supposed to be getting an extension if they plan on keeping him. If they do not do an extension, then he's going to be, an unrestricted free agent at the end of the 4 seasons. So they just let him play his contract out and take a chance with him, or you have a conversation with DJ and you say, hey, you're gonna have to play this contract out and basically play for some money, or let's see how you do these first 8 games and then we can talk about an extension.
You know my standpoint with DJ Moore. But to be honest, the guy did put up the numbers this year, which helps his cause as far as contract negotiations.
Is
Now,
he going to be able to say, if you elevate the quarterback position, that will help me because I can't throw myself the ball?
he can say that. He could definitely say that. Teddy
Would
Bridgewater,
it be valid at all, you think?
kind of. DJ Moore only had 4 touchdowns this year, if that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same breath, Teddy Bridgewater only threw maybe 14 of them. So that's not a whole lot from the quarterback position. But the flip side of that is DJ Moore had another 1,000-yard season this year. So that's definitely going to help his cause when it comes to negotiations. The Panthers could let him play out this upcoming year to determine what they want to do with him. At the end of that year, they can identify him as their best player if they choose to do that and franchise tag him in order to keep him and hopefully extend him that way. Or they could just offer him a deal based on his play this upcoming year. But this upcoming year is going to be the show it and prove it year for Mr. Slant Route.
Okay, so he played 2018, 2019, 2020. Now 2021, his base salary will be $2 million. Um, and there is a 5th-year option on the table. That 5th-year option is a team option, so they can pick that up as a team. So they don't have to give him an extension until after that season, because they could just pick up the 5th year. He becomes an unrestricted free agent in the 6th year.
Yeah.
It's different. Okay.
So,
I'm looking at his contract right now. Yeah, so they got a little bit of time to evaluate. Basically say, DJ, this is the off season. We need you to have a good off season. Come to camp in shape. Come to camp ready. All them heroic passes we see on these clips that you're doing in practice in the off season, we need you to see you do them in the game.
Yeah.
If you have a more mobile quarterback that can get him the ball as he's streaking down, that may help him. Robbie Anderson seemed to have a better chemistry with Bridgewater to be able to get open and get a lot more of those passes. It just seemed like Robbie and Teddy got on the page a whole lot easier than Bridgewater and DJ Moore, where a lot of times it just seemed like DJ just totally disappeared out of some games.
Yes,
he got a lot of his yards. He did have 1,000 yards, but it seemed like he got them all in bulk. You know, he just had a lot of empty calorie games where he got a bunch of yards, and then go another couple of games and you have to put him on a milk carton. Couldn't find him. So hopefully there'll be a little bit more consistency at the quarterback position, that the quarterback isn't dropping down, taking 3 steps, and then he's on his back because he done held the ball too long. So we'll see. But I think they're going to have to take a quarterback, but then they also got to do something with the tackle. They got to be able to protect the blind side of the quarterback. You got to be able to keep them defensive ends off your quarterback, keep them upright, or they pushing the pocket back so much that he's taking steps back, but your line has given up so much position that they're back there with him. I saw that a lot of times too, so that didn't help Teddy out either. But I thought Teddy could have run out of some of it a little bit more, even if it was just a simple bootleg. The thing about a bootleg is you run the bootleg, and if nothing's there, now you're at the damn sideline, just run on out of bounds. You know, instead of just taking sacks. I get it. You're not, at least you're keeping the ball, unless you fumbled the sack. But stop taking the sacks, because you lose 9 yards every time you do that. Run a bootleg and then run out of bounds. If nobody's streaking on that side, if the tight end didn't roll to that side, if the running back didn't roll to that side, DJ Moore didn't flash or come back for the ball, run out of bounds.
Yeah, and Teddy showed a big time lack of athleticism at that position this year. He really did.
Yeah.
And I always thought he was a guy that could run and get out of trouble if needed.
Me too.
He's really not that good at that. Not his strength.
There were times when he showed flashes and you thought, oh man, because sometimes I squinch thinking, oh God, is this the one? Is this the one? Because we all saw that injury he had, but he's fully recovered from it, but he's recovered physically. I don't know if he's recovered enough mentally from it. Right. Some guys, once they've had an injury like that, they're never the same because there's a mental block. They had that Ricky Bobby thing going on, where they still think they're on fire.
Mm-hmm.
or he's paralyzed. Don't you do it, Ricky Bobby. Don't you do it. And then he realizes he isn't, and he screams. Yeah, I don't know what my Panthers are going to do. So in our last couple of minutes, we have coming up this week some divisional round playoffs. We got the Rams going up to Green Bay to face that bad man, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Scaldez Vanley or Vanley Scout, whatever his name is, MVS and
MSV.
Yeah, I know I was gonna get him backwards. How do you see that game shaking out? It's gonna be a 4:30 game on Saturday in Green Bay.
I see that game shaking out like this. You're going to see what a team is supposed to look like when they have 2 weeks off and they're defending home field. You're going to see what that's going to look like.
Okay. Okay. So our second year coach is going to have his team ready to go.
Oh
I agree.
yeah, yeah. He
I
will
agree.
have a team ready to go.
Okay. Okay. On Saturday as well, part of that doubleheader Saturday. Boy, boy, boy. What's going on, Northern New York? The
Whew.
Buffalo Bills are hosting those pesky Baltimore Ravens. Who you got in that
Bills
one?
Bills barely made it to that game, didn't
They
they?
did. They did.
Needed some help from the referees and almost got guilted by the referees in the same sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes
Um,
it's better to be lucky than good.
yeah, I got Buffalo in this game, man.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah, just too
Uh,
strong, too
yeah,
strong.
I mean, Lamar did some amazing things in the last game, but I think the Bills are the more balanced team. And playing in Northern New York is a lot different than playing in Maryland. The same thing I told a friend of mine that's a diehard Rams fan. I said, this ain't Seattle. You got to go to Green Bay. You got to go to the frozen tundra. That weather is going to be something that y'all ain't used to in sunny California. That's going to be a little different. And it's playoff time. This is going to be a night game. The light's going to be bright. I'm not saying I trust Josh Allen more than I trust Lamar Jackson. I
I
trust
do.
Stephon. I know. I trust Stephon Diggs. I trust Cole Beasley. I trust Montgomery. He's got a lot of balance around him. That for the Ravens to win, everything has to kind of be clicking. Lamar ain't gonna be able to run them to a win in this game. That just
No,
ain't gonna happen. That is not
nope.
gonna happen. Then on Sunday, you've got the Cleveland Browns, the Dookies, going to Kansas City to play Patrick Mahomes. Uh, you know, I want to just flat out say the Chiefs, but I honestly give the Browns a chance.
I give the Browns a chance in this game too. So we're on the same page. We're on the same page.
I would love. I mean, I should be able to say that the defending Super Bowl champs are clear cut above, but I've seen them struggle in too many games this year. I
Yes.
have. You know,
Kind of that Pittsburgh Steeler thing, man. Yep.
yes, they figured out Mahomes. I love Andy Reid, but Andy Reid don't change his game plan. He basically says, we're just going to execute it better, and we dare you to stop it. He's not a Belichick that goes, oh, that's not working. Okay, we'll take that out. That's not working. Belichick, that's all he does. He says, okay, wait a minute. That one worked? Run it 69 times in a row. And he'll do that. He'll do it. He'll go, all right, just run it to the right, run it to the left, go that way again. He'll just keep doing the same play until you stop it. Then he'll pick something else. Andy Reid don't work like that. Andy Reid installs his game plan on Tuesday. Y'all practice it Wednesday and Thursday. You have a walkthrough on Friday, and then come Saturday or Sunday you play the game. That's how he does. Belichick does the same thing, but on Sunday he might say, all that stuff we talked about, forget it. We're gonna do this. We'll go left, go right, and that's how he does it. And who can argue with the results? Look at the results.
The Cleveland Browns have the formula right now with that dual running back attack that they have.
Yeah.
They can keep them in a lot of games, especially with Baker playing at the level that he's playing right now, which is basically mistake-free football.
Right.
If he can continue to do that, if that offensive line can continue to keep him clean, they got a shot. Especially they got the momentum right now. Kansas City has been off for a while, so it'll probably take Kansas City a little bit to get clicking. That's going to be a really interesting game.
It is. The game can go one of two ways. It can be a damn blowout, or it can be a dogfight. Because Kansas City also has the propensity that if they do get out to a lead, they take their foot off the gas.
They do.
They've done that too much too, where you'll look at it and go, oh, okay, this game is over. And next thing you know, they went by 3 points and you're scratching your head like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, hint
I mean,
Carolina. I mean,
they have more droughts than the damn desert. I'm like, what is going on? So,
Carolina game, the Raider game. I mean, they can be caught.
and again, to your point, like the Steelers playing to what on paper would appear to be inferior talent, letting them stay in games well past what they should, giving them hope into believing we got a shot. And then it takes some Herculean effort by your star quarterback for you to end up winning the game.
Yeah. And how many Herculean efforts does he have? Does he have one more? Well, we'll have to see.
Yeah,
We'll have
and
to see.
and that's not a good formula to
No, it's
make it to
not.
the ultimate game. Speaking of the
Nope.
ultimate game, and we've got the Geritol Bowl coming up, um, or the Ben Gay Bowl. we've got the ones that were around when Hercules was a young boy. That would be Tom Brady and the not so further, a little bit younger Drew Brees playing in this sponsored by AARP. We've got Drew
The
Brees.
AARP Bowl.
Oh man, that is so funny and disrespectful, but I'm gonna stay with it. The AARP Bowl brought to you. It's gonna be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the New Orleans Saints down in New Orleans at the Mercedes-Benz, and that's going to be the late game. So that's going to be the bigger game that everybody's going to be watching. So how do you see that shaking out?
That is going to be a good game.
It is. It
It really will. Up until what I saw last week, I always said the Saints have it in them to beat the Bucs. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Tom Brady is playing some really good ball. Drew Brees is looking kind of suspect, like he could be caught. He really is not playing very well. I know they blew out the Bears, but I mean, they're the freaking Bears. Drew Brees didn't have one of those Drew Brees type games, so I don't know. That one, coin flip for me.
I agree. I'm going with, because at the beginning of the season, I had the craziest prediction that Tampa Bay is hosting the Super Bowl this year and the home team would be playing in it. I ain't ready to say that still, but I am ready to say that destiny is going to be in their hands because they will be playing in the conference championships the following week because they're going to beat the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. You heard it here. Tampa Bay is going to play Green Bay in the NFC conference championship.
That would be a great one. That would be a great one.
That's going to be great. And if the Chiefs win, it's going to be Chiefs and Bills. And I got a chance that if it's Chiefs and Bills, the Bills are going to the Super Bowl.
That is also going to be a good one.
Woo! And if it's the Bills and the Bucks, woo! That could be, yeah. That's going to be a Super Bowl that I'm sign me up for it. Yeah, that's delicious. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I got.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
I know. I'm floating somewhere else right now. You got, as Tomlin would say, we got to take care of the game in front of us, and I got to be accountable. And then not anymore. You're accountable for the couch and the Doritos and the dip. That's what you're accountable for right now, Tomlin. You better be talking to your agent and making sure that the Steelers want you back. Anyway.
Amen to that.
And almost, I would venture to say, if they do, then Tomlin may know where some bodies are buried. we gonna start getting into those conspiracy theories, like what does he know and who does he have something on?
For real though.
Yeah, I'm gonna start learning about that myself. All right, well, we're gonna wait with everybody else to see what happens on Saturday and Sunday. It should be a good game no matter who you're rooting for. We started out with 32 teams. Now we're down to the final 8. Next week, we'll be down to our final four. And then after that, we will be getting ready for Super Bowl. Whether your team is in it or not, this has been a fabulous season. We've had a couple of bumps and bruises along the way, but when you multiply 53 players times 32 teams, plus staffs, trainers, equipment managers, and everybody else, what we have experienced with this season has been next to phenomenal. So I continue to congratulate the NFL on what they've been able to do. Now with vaccines and everything else coming out, hopefully we'll be able to have more fans in the stands for 2021 season. But this has been a great season, and we're still on the ride. We're in the second half of the season now with the playoffs, so can't wait to see how it shakes out after Sunday's all said and done.
Yeah, it's been a great year. It's been a really good year. Fun year for me up until freaking last. Anyway, but yeah, man, props to the NFL for pulling this off, for getting this far, and remaining on schedule. Super Bowl still on schedule. These playoff games have been phenomenal, except for one of them. And you know what? I think I'm going to double down with you on that Tampa Bay prediction. I'm going to go ahead and get off my coin flip analogy and say it's going to be Tampa over the Saints this coming weekend. It's going to be that.
Yeah.
You know, the Saints only get so far. They seem to just get so far before something happens. I don't know if it's a bad play or the refs cheat them. They only can get so far. And then,
well, they're getting ready for Mardi Gras, so there's a lot of voodoo going on down there. Maybe that backfire on you sometimes. I don't know what it is, but you're right. It seems like there's this invisible ceiling that they hit. Yeah. They don't see it, but all of a sudden it's like, and it's over. And the one thing about the Bucs is that they're kind of bipolar. You just don't know which Bucs team you're going to see. Are you going to see Tom Brady in his prime, or are you going to see the signs of an aging Tom Brady start to show? Are you going to see him be able to get it to Mike Evans and Godwin consistently? Are you going to be able to see Leonard Fournette be able to catch passes out of the backfield and Ronald Jones? Or are you going to be able to see Gronk make that one play across the middle of the field where he bowls over 2 and 3 guys and it takes 4 or 5 of them to finally bring him down? Is that the team we're going to see? Maybe. But one thing I do know is that we all going to see it together come this weekend. That's going to do it for us. We're going to wrap it up. Head-to-Head Sports, Brian Parker, Randall Hargrove. Wishing everybody a happy, safe weekend, and we will see you again next week. Peace.
Peace.